All right, so we're going to talk the AFC South today. And just like the NFC South, which we'll talk about next, the AFC South is a division that really can go a lot of different ways. There are three teams in this division that I feel like have decent odds to potentially win the division. And it all kind of just depends on how certain things go. Let's start with Tennessee, as they finished last in the division last year. And I mean, they're going to have a full season with Will Levis behind center. So it's going to be interesting to see kind of how he takes the reins and like fully takes the reins. They lose Derrick Henry to Baltimore, and well, yeah, that's kind of a crushing blow. I do like the addition of Tony Pollard, and I also like Tajay Spears. So it's going to be a nice 1-2 punch in the running back room. Now I want Tajay Spears to get more production and more of a chance, but with Derrick Henry gone, I could see him getting that. Especially since Tony Pollard works better as a part of a 1-2 punch. The receiver room is actually really solid, which I like my initial thoughts to it. If you saw the chaos of NFL free agency video I did, was not the greatest, but it's still a really solid receiving room. They add Calvin Ridley, they get Tyler Boyd, who I'm high on Tyler Boyd. I'm higher on him than I feel like most people are. He was a really solid piece to that Bengals offense. So getting both of them to pair with DeAndre Hopkins, like, it's a nice receiver room. I do hope we see more of Traylon Burks, as he was their first round pick a few years ago. And I feel like if he can take the next step, it could benefit the team. But at the same time, they don't really need him to take that big step just yet, as they're going to have the other three. The O-line gets bolstered with J.C. Latham, who is a incredible pass blocker, especially against power rushers, which is really important. He's going to be a really fun offensive lineman to see, and he's protecting Levis's blind side. The defense gets Devondre Sweat, who they drafted. They trade for L'Jarius Sneed, and they get Jamal Adams on a team-friendly deal. That Jamal Adams deal, well, yeah, Adams is like up there in age, and you can very much argue he's washed. It's a team-friendly deal, and he's going to be playing angry because like, he still wants to prove he can play at a high level. L'Jarius Sneed is joining there obviously to bolster that secondary, so it's a very nice secondary unit. And then Devondre Sweat is trying to just add production to that defensive line, which was already a relatively decent defensive line. They get Brian Callahan to replace Mike Vrabel as head coach, so it's a little more of an offensive style system. He ran a lot of 11 personnel in Cincinnati last year, with it being 74% of the offense. And I don't want to see that for Tennessee. I would really like to see more of the two back sets, so 21, 22 personnel, because of Tajay Spears and Tony Pollard. You get both of them on the field at the same time with Will Levis's mobility, which isn't anything like a Lamar Jackson or Josh Allen, but it's still pretty good mobility. He's an improviser. So you get all three of those guys on the field together, plus you're able to get, like, if you do 21 personnel, you'll be able to get, I believe you'll be able to get at least you'll be able to get like Ridley and Hopkins on the field at the same time, maybe more 20 personnel then, so you can get all three receivers on the field at the same time. Tennessee could be a sneaky good team. I don't think they'll be the worst team in the AFC by any means. I could see them obviously like they're most likely going to finish last in the division, but who knows if like a Jacksonville or some of the other teams suffer from injuries, they could sneak up there. Speaking of Jacksonville, let's move on to them real quick. They collapsed at the end of last season. They were 8-3 at one point, and then they lose a good portion of the rest of the games to lose out on the division and miss the playoffs. And Trevor Lawrence is going to have all the eyes on him this season. When with that contract, how could he not? He needs to prove he's worth top of the league money. Like, that's just it's an insane contract, and it's not like they don't have pieces around him. Yeah, they lose Calvin Ridley, but they get Gabe Davis, who is a decent. He needs to be more consistent with his catching, but he's a good route runner and he can get open. And then they draft Brian Thomas Jr., who he's listed as a receiver 3, but I doubt he'll play in the slot that much. I more see Gabe Davis as that role, and then Brian Thomas would be on the outside. And I mean, he's like Brian Thomas could be a really good weapon for him. I wouldn't be shocked if he's the primary weapon for Trevor Lawrence, just because like that's kind of the style of receiver he is. The offensive line gets bolstered with a really underrated signing in Mitch Morse coming in. They pick up Darnell Savage to up the defense and bolster the secondary, which is nice. Eric Armstead comes in from San Francisco to aid Javon Walker and Josh Hines Allen in the front seven. The key thing is just staying healthy. Trevor Lawrence got injured at the end of last season, which didn't help the collapse. But if they can stay healthy, they can get more consistent in their style of play. I like what they could bring. Tank Bigsby and Travis Etienne is a nice one. It's a serviceable 1-2 punch over at running back. So like, they could be a solid team. Main thing is just staying consistent. Main thing is staying healthy. I expect Jacksonville to be fighting for the division come end of season. And I would be shocked if Doug Peterson isn't the coach next year. But I mean, if they just completely shit the bed, who knows? But again, for the most part, I expect Jacksonville to be competitive this year in the majority of games. I mean, Miami plays them first week. I'm not fully looking forward to it. But the good thing is it's in South Florida. On to the Indianapolis Colts. They came a game shy from winning the division and making the playoffs. So a really, really good season considering they lost Anthony Richardson early on in that season and not a lot of people expected much of them, especially after the injury. But Richardson has to stay healthy. I know it's like, well, the whole thing is like, well, it's only one season, everything. You can't really say he's injury prone. And I'm not saying that. I'm just saying we saw what happened the last time the Colts had a really good, potentially generational talent at quarterback, and he wasn't able to stay healthy. I don't want Richardson to be another Andrew Luck. I know that was talked about to death when they drafted him. But he ran a lot during the early parts of the season, and that's what got him injured. He needs to it's not necessarily staying in a pocket because you don't want to remove the run game from the offense because he's elite because of it, or he could be elite because of it. But I want to see the O-line protect better. I mean, they have Quentin Nelson. They paid him all that money, so it would make sense. And it's, again, just if he stays healthy, the Colts are going to be such a threat this year. Not just in the division, but throughout the entire NFL. Like Anthony Richardson is that dude. Jonathan Taylor's still there, I believe, for another year or two. He's on the contract. He's the premier back. And I wouldn't be shocked if they do similar personnel style, which was a lot of 11 personnel. And by a lot, I mean 77% of the time, 11 personnel. It just makes too much sense. Receiver room is solid. They add Adonai Mitchell to the draft. And they already had Michael Pittman and Alec Pierce. And I put Josh Downs on here as well because I like him. He's solid. He's good for them. But yeah, Adonai Mitchell is the main pickup there. He's going to be a key piece to the offense. And then, well, just a more improvement and more development from Alec Pierce to Michael Pittman. And then also Moali Cox and Jalen Woods in the tight end room. Like, the Colts have a really, really solid team that does not get talked about a lot. I feel, mainly because, like, you want to see Anthony Richardson. He's the main talking point. Jonathan Taylor, he's the main talking point. Kwity Paye for the defense, I feel like does not get talked about nearly as much. Last year, he had 8.5 sacks. Didn't even realize it until I was making this video. So, like Kwity Paye, he has improved year after year. He's becoming a really, really good presence on that defensive line. So another jump for him. If he gets a double-digit sacks, the Colts would gladly take it. And then they were able to draft Latu added the front seven. That was a great draft pick. Mainly because like the first 15 picks of the draft was all offense. So they get what should have been a top 10 pick in the bottom half of the first round. So it was a great selection. He comes in to aid DeForest Buckner and Raekwon Davis. I put Raekwon Davis on there because I know how good he is. I feel like he's not talked about enough. Raekwon Davis is going to be a great guy for the Colts. Like if he sees the field, he's going to make the most of it. The secondary leaves a little bit of questions, but at the same time, I feel like I feel like it's a good secondary. I mean, Julian Blackman one of those people where like he needs to be talked about more of for a potential breakout season. He had 4 interceptions last year. If he can build off of it, I'm not saying to get the uh, the Ron Blanche number of interceptions, but if he can get another like 3-4 interception season while having a lot of pass breakups, like he's an underrated player for that secondary. And the Colts are, I wouldn't say they're gonna surprise teams, but at least early on in the season when Anthony Richardson's back, they're going to shock people with how fast he is. But definitely, like they can't depend on the whole not a lot of tape with Anthony Richardson for long. But they're going to be good for they're going to be good. They're going to be competitive in the division. There's a chance they win this division, just because like Anthony Richardson is that dude. Like if he actually plays and plays to the level he showcased during his brief rookie season, the Colts, man, keep an eye out for them. Finally, we're going to talk about Houston, the division winners, and also winners of both rookies of the year. Man, Houston was such a fun team to watch last year. I'm excited for what they're going to look like this year. They brought in Joe Mixon to pair with Damian Priest to form a great two-headed monster in the running back room. And I feel like this is the case with a lot of guys since he let go, Tyler Boyd and Joe Mixon being the main two. But I am high on Joe Mixon. I feel like he's a lot better of a back than people talked about. And now he's being paired with Damon Pierce, where he's not gonna be asked to have that heavy of a workload. I mean, like that again, that's a good 1-2 punch. They trade for Stephon Diggs, and know the whole contract situation afterwards is weird and doesn't make the most sense. But if you just look at it as a 1-year rental, it might not be the worst type of it might not be the worst type of deal. They didn't give up a lot for Stephon Diggs, and they pair him with Nico Collins and Tank Dell. That is a really good receiver room. And I mean, CJ Stroud was already putting up numbers with just Nico Collins and Tank Dell. Now he got Stephon Diggs to throw to. He's still got Dalton Schultz to throw to as the primary tight end. And man, if I wouldn't be shocked, I wouldn't necessarily wouldn't be shocked, but if Houston utilized a little bit more 21 personnel, they get both Damon Pierce and Joe Mixon out there. They get Dalton Schultz out there. They get really any two of the three receivers you want. I mean, like Houston has a recipe for the offense that can be really, really good. The defense as well, like the additions on the defense aren't necessarily anything to scoff over. The main one being trading for Daniil Hunter to put opposite of Will Anderson on that defensive line. And like it's just like Houston's defense was already pretty solid last year. Obviously, like you hope for improvements, but it was also a pretty young defense. Daniil Hunter comes in, he's a vet presence for Will Anderson. And like Houston might be able to take the next step on defense alone just because of it being another year under the DeMeco Ryans system. And we're going to talk special teams real quick. As Houston has a pretty big signing when it comes to the special teams department, they get Tommy Townsend from Kansas City. And this isn't talked about a lot because this part of the game isn't really used a lot anymore in the same way, at least, or at least as often. But having a punter that can consistently win you the field position battle is massively important. And Tommy Townsend is going to be that guy for Houston. The field position battle is great when your offense is struggling on the day and you just want to try and give them the best possible situation. You pin the opposing team consistently inside the 20. Eventually, you're going to find something that works on offense. So it's an underrated sign and an underrated piece. Tommy Townsend is going to be a weapon for Houston that a lot of people aren't going to talk about because no one really pays attention to special teams. Now with the new kickoff rules, we'll see, and I'll mention that more when we get to some other teams. But yeah, those are my quick little breakdown thoughts on the AFC South. The AFC South is going to be a fun division to keep an eye on this year. That's for damn sure. Anyway, hope you all enjoyed. Most of these videos are all kind of off the cuff. So they're quick, they're easy, they're fun. So I hope you all enjoyed. And with that being said, thank you all for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed. Let me know your thoughts down below on the AFC South, as well as fuck it. Leave predictions down below as well. I'll get to my predictions that week before the NFL season. That entire week before is going to just be nothing but prediction videos. So yeah, if you all enjoyed, leave a like down below, subscribe, you know the drill. And I'll see you all in the next one. Have yourselves a damn good one. Peace.